Did Cross Season 2 Episode 4 just give us the weirdest relationship dynamic I've seen all year on television? And that says a lot considering on this channel we covered incestuous Targaryens from Game of Thrones. And is it just me, or is there a picture of Lance Durant and Bill Gates hanging on Durant's wall, proving to me that there is a deep connection between him and Bill Gates? But more importantly, the video that Bobby found of Kayla and that soldier may be the most important plot point in this entire season, and that video will definitely cause a huge rift between Cross and Kayla, especially with their budding romance. Episode 4 of Cross confirms to me that the serial killer Luz might not be the main villain of this season, especially how she was almost caught by Cross this episode by letting her emotions get the better of her. But with that being said, click the subscribe button in solidarity with all the children that Cressbrook has taken advantage of, and let's break down this video. Season 2 episode 4 of Cross took a weird turn for me, and that turn was in the relationship between Estabbon and Luz, and just how weird and fast that whole interaction was.
He loves me.
You've known him less than 72 hours. Do you hear yourself?
On one hand, I think it makes perfect sense for Estabbon, who dedicated his entire life to this mythical goddess to the point where he cut off 3 of his own fingers in sacrifice to her. So you can tell by him and his actions that he's not all the way there. We literally found out he was living in a sewer last episode. So when he finally meets the woman of his dreams, the goddess Luz, I understand that completely. And he's playing such a pivotal role in her mission because he gave her information that she didn't even have on Cressbrook, as well as Lance Durant, who this episode pretty much confirms is at the top of the pedophile pyramid. And I think that was kind of a given because Lance Durant is an allegory for the real life Bill Gates. I mean, right down to the fact that he has a picture of him and Bill Gates on his wall. The show is really not mincing words around showing us the allegory between the two of them, especially with that fake green earth energy thing he's trying to pull, similar to Bill Gates. And the fact that he knows that his factories are using child labor, illegal child labor, it makes you wonder, he's using child labor, he's friends with pedophiles, all these add up together to show that he really is a monster hiding behind the guise of helping people. So if the show is actually following current events like I think it is, it makes all the more sense. But what doesn't make sense is Luz's interaction to Estabbon, especially with her kissing his chest tattoo. Need I remind you guys that this man was living in a sewer last episode? And I kind of get where they were trying to go with. 2 souls on the same mission who found themselves, but I think in her case, it just doesn't work. For a woman who's dedicated her entire life to secrecy and hunting down some of the worst people in the world, I know Estabbon dedicated his life to that as well. She had no idea who this guy was less than 72 hours ago, and just 48 hours ago, he was living in the sewers of Chicago. So in the scene where she's kissing the tattoo of herself on his chest, I could almost get the fact that Luz feels that her life's work, someone's finally seeing her for who she is, and the mission she's on is not in vain. But for all of us who've been watching Cross Season 2 so far, we were all behind her. We didn't need her love story to endure us, the audience, and I definitely did not need her to actually get intimate with Estabbon. Not saying there's anything wrong with him, but it doesn't fit her character, and even her aunt says the same thing. She was almost willing to sacrifice the entirety of the mission that she worked her whole life for, the mission that she's dedicated her entire being to, in order to be with this man that she met 72 hours ago, only because he supports her dreams. I think that's kind of flimsy, and it causes her to almost get caught by Alex Cross. Even though she's on a righteous path, the type of person that Alex Cross is, I can see him somewhat understanding her plight. Because Cross has kids, he can understand the weight behind people taking advantage of children. But her methodology is going to put her at odds with him. And not just her methodology, but Kayla is also on a fast track to being at odds with Cross. Because while Cross and her relationship are growing, is becoming more physical, we even see that Kayla really likes Cross. It's actually starting to bleed into their work, and no pun intended, it's all going to come crashing to a head, especially after what Bobby Flay found on that video. So let's take a moment to actually talk about that. In that video, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but what I do know is that Kayla was involved in some sort of secret experiment on the military, and she sat there and watched. And to me, it seems like the government is able to create something to make this man act against his will. And she sat there and watched it happen, which explains why for the last 3 episodes, Kayla's been so on edge about Mastermind and what he's gonna do to her if he exposes this information, because this information is some deep state shit, and the fact that it's Bobby who knows about this makes me wonder just how connected Bobby really is. Because throughout the first 2 seasons, we can be honest about Bobby's character. I don't know about y'all, but I've actually liked Bobby's character. It can be a little bit over the top, but this type of information and leverage that he now has on Kayla is the perfect time to be over the top. Because if she can do that and she can go about her life and try to build a relationship with Cross, I think she knows that if Cross finds out what she did, it may not go well over for her. That's why when Cross offered to help her in episode 2, She said that she got it in order to keep him as far away from that as possible. But I think these two problems are going to converge on Alex Cross. And while season 1 of Cross may have been more engaging, the serial killer subplot was a bit more complicated and better. And even the mystery about who killed Alex Cross's wife in season 1 was very interesting. This season seems to be lacking in the interest department, but I think it's because of the theme of this season. In season 2, the villain that we have was Luz, but Luz isn't 100% a villain, and I can kind of see Cross siding with her because I empathize with her. I'm on her side. Everything with Estabbon aside, I support her completely, but on the flip side, Cross's ally isn't necessarily an ally. The two women that Cross is consumed with right now, the villain of the story as well as his partner, are on opposite sides of the law. And when Cross finally realizes that he's actually siding with the villain as opposed to his partner, I think that can make for some interesting television. But so far, Cross season 2 hasn't gripped me like season 1. Maybe that's just my personal bias, but the fact that Ramsey was such a compelling villain and we haven't got that compelling moment from Luz just yet. The first 3 episodes set her up great, but I think this episode kind of peels back the layers of her character and it makes her flawed, but not in the good way, more so in a way that makes you wonder, how did she even make it this far? But guys, that's just my thoughts. What do you think is going to happen for the rest of this season? Are you liking what's going on? Do you think that we're going to get a better storyline with Kayla? Because the Luz storyline so far, because of this episode, isn't really doing it for me. But I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comment section below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, peace.